Hello, this is Media Center Ukraine Odessa. We continue our briefing day, and now we have the Minister of Education and Science of Ukraine. Mr. Minister, welcome. Hello, Odessa. Hello, everyone. Slava to Ukraine. Thank you. Before we move to the questions, maybe you have some words to say before we start the session of question and answers. I'm proud of my educators. I'm ready to fight for every representative of the education field, and the way the educational front worked at the humanitarian front and providing for IDPs, for organization of educational processes. So all of that shows that we care about our future. We form the world educational policy. Our children in other countries of the world taken as very educated, well prepared, and the world gained a very different understanding of our educational system. We were asked many times how we managed to prepare such wonderful children, no matter where children are, Germany, France, Portugal, Poland. They demonstrate extremely high level of knowledge, high level of preparation. And this is we who created such a resilient nation, the nation that counteracts to the second army of the world, the nation that is fighting so desperately and is so patriotic that it is an example for everyone. I'm proud of the educators and send my greetings to everyone. And I'm sure that the country that has such such attitude to education, it will survive. So the first question from me, how pressing the issue of evacuation of secondary school and universities from the occupied territories. Thanks to our armed forces, the evacuation is the secondary issue now, because during the hostilities since the 24th of February, we evacuated 31 higher educational institutions and over 60 other divisions, educational divisions. And now the issue of evacuation of educational institutions is not really pressing. Our armed forces are deliberating the east and the south of Ukraine. And as of last Thursday, we had 29 settlements that were occupied. This is a small percentage of territory. Our armed forces step by step deliberate our territories, and now we have the issue of resuming of educational processes in every field of education. So objectively, our pedagogical universities join the efforts for our masters and postgraduate students join these efforts. So our educational establishments resume this network of engaging the senior students and our educators who provided remote classes according to Ukrainian curriculum. If we speak about school education, how much has it changed due to Russian aggression? And we speak about the literature at school. And second, this is the unrelated changes to the large-scale war, like the financial literacy, the military education for young men. English is the second language. How much of these changes do we see? Well, this We have implemented these issues like 3 months ago. And we speak about the history of Ukraine, literature. We have amended pretty much in our school curriculum. We excluded all apologists of the Russian world that in this or the other way we're trying to promote until the full-scale invasion these ideas. And we have changed a lot by now. And now we're more focused on the Ukrainian patriotism. We have the authors that shaped the ideas of freedom and freedoms across the world. And now we included only the authors in this literature school curriculum who had never shaped in some way and never questions Ukraine as an independent country. Speaking about financial literacy, English is the compulsory foreign language. I must say that among 4,200,000 school children, 4,084,000 studied English. Of course, the president of Ukraine took a very good step, giving the order to shape and establish English classes as the compulsory subject for all Ukrainian citizens, and we fulfill this concept these days and moving towards realization of this idea. Financial literacy is an obligatory subject and one of the key competencies at school because every student has to finish school, graduate from the university or colleges as someone who can self-employ and take care of their families, about their employees, and to form entrepreneurial basis to support the country. So now the educational system provides financial and economic system, and we're at full swing on supporting the country. I'd like to clarify something concerning a literature curriculum. Who were those authors that were not included in the list of authors? I know for sure that Gogol remained on the list as a foreign literature. The Bulgakov is still there, specifically on the dog's heart, because it shows the deficiency of Soviet and Russian system. Baben Yar is still there as on the list of supplementary literature, and also Ilf and Petrov is there as the mockery of the Soviet system. And then we removed everything else. Maybe we will now mix with the questions from the audience.
Вітаю.
So I feel like a school student now. Asking me about the statistics, we have to understand that we have the regions, that we have 2013 regions in the rear. Now, educational process continues in 2,932 schools, and over 3 million students continue their education. We also have, and I believe our victory is that we moved to the offline mode, and we only had 11% of schools equipped with the shelters. Now it's over 60%. Now many regions, Lviv, Volynsk, Zakarpatsk, Vinnytsia, Ivano-Frankivsk, Chernivtsi regions. Most of schools there work in offline and mixed modes. So some parts of other regions like Odessa, parts of Vinnytsia, part of Volyn regions, we cannot provide in these areas just like 50 or a little bit more kilometers away from the front line, because they are, the first place goes to the safety of children. So please ask your questions. Thank you, the Median Forum Odessa channel. Mr. Minister, thank you very much for this opportunity to ask you questions. You look pretty tired because the recent months have been really tough for every Ukrainian, for every official in Ukraine. And you have to take difficult decisions. One of such decisions I would like to ask about, it concerns the possibility for academicians and scholars to leave Ukraine for short term to take part in conferences. There are many questions about that because the scientists can't leave Ukraine to take part in those activities, in particular in European projects, within bilateral cooperation with foreign universities, etc. So what is the position of the ministry and our country overall, given the situation in the front and our fight against the aggressor? Thank you for the question. So if you're a psychologist by education, if you believe that I'm tired or something, that's, well, not the fact. Well, look at the president, he works 24/7. That's not the case. But, well, I don't know who informs you regarding the trips for short-term programs abroad. We had over 4,000 applications from universities and individuals as for crossing the border. And the Ministry of Education is not the agency that makes any decisions on crossing the border. That's all on the border service. We can only provide the recommendation letters, including, and we can send the recommendation letters that are based on Erasmus programs or international agreements. And I don't remember any case when ministry failed to provide any supportive documents for students or scientists to cross the border, or any other categories that relate to science and education. We always support people with such documentations within the programs that are supported by international agreements. I will give you one example. Maybe this is this case, this hype that is rolling across social media and mass media. I have the suddenly established Polish or Czech universities that is established in the two-bedroom apartment, and they apply for just letting over 1,000 students of the military age they ask to let them go out of the country. And we realize that this is not quite legal. And we verify this university, we check when this university was established, in what way they organized the enrollment. And these 1,472 male students aged 1860, someone well, we doubt that this university has some good rating. So when we see that it was actually established like 3 days before they started their enrollment in Poland. We have other cases too, but the Ministry of Education gave their response to all the applications from students, individuals, and higher education institutions, and I'm not aware of any issues with crossing the border by the students or who cooperate with the dual education degrees. I mean, like Erasmus programs and other international degree programs where Ukraine takes part and where Ukraine committed together with other countries to train our citizens in foreign universities, additional degree programs, etc. And yet again, Ministry of Education and Science is not the subject of crossing the border. First of all, thank you very much for this detailed answer. And I have another quick question. Of course, now the entire world supports Ukraine in fighting Russian aggression. And now we gain more and more partners from Europe and USA who want to invest into relationship with Ukraine. Have you been reached by foreign universities and educational institutions who would offer you to open their branches in Ukraine, like campuses and other facilities? Let me clarify that. Do you mean the campuses of foreign universities in Ukraine to teach our students, right? We have two cases. I communicated with my Czech colleague who was ready to contribute into development of our educational sphere. We have several cases in Austria, and now I'm as a minister and our team in the ministry pleads to various universities and countries. And we can say that no university from other countries reached Ukrainian authorities to help and support Ukrainian educational field. These were us who reached our foreign partners to enhance the relationship with our sister universities, to promote the dual degree programs. Yes, we have such cases, but we don't have any targeted initiatives from specific universities. Thank you. Now we have the question from our media center. I would like to return to school education. Before the Russian aggression, we also had 2 years of COVID pandemics, and mostly they were spent remotely in terms of education. How does the ministry assess the results of this full-time or semi-remote mode of education, which is actually lasting like third year? Is the level of education has improved or worsened in how the attitude of school students changed? Thank you for this question. Yeah, because the first year during the pandemics evoked the question about the quality of education, and we carried out the monitoring. We looked at the section at the national level, amid introduction of online modes of training. We discovered the loss in quality of 8 to 11%. However, we started creating our digital content to enable the improvement of the quality of education, and to create the platform for feedback between the teacher and the student, to being able to shape the vector, individual vector of education. And we improved considerably the system of Ukrainian online school. Our international partners enabled us to use supplementary content to gain additional skills and knowledge. I personally sure that online education is not a panacea in any context. The online mode can be valuable for gaining supplementary skills and knowledge within one educational program at any level of education. So currently, from 3rd to 26th of October, even amid the war, amid the continuous air raid alerts, we introduced fulfilled the most important step in ESA educational assessment, and we tested over 3,500 students in various educational establishments, and they covered natural sciences, exact sciences, and other areas. The results will be produced in 2023, but I'm sure that even during the wartime, the quality of knowledge of our students will have improved significantly. The question will be in English, but please, could you please answer in Ukrainian?
Hello, my name is Luis.
Доброго
I'm
дня,
a
мене звуть
journalist from
Луїс.
Brazil,
Я
Rede TV
журналіст
television.
з Бразилії.
I would like to ask you if you could explain overseas audience what authorities in Ukraine are doing regarding teaching or using of Russian language in cities that are in the south region of Ukraine. Are children learning only Ukraine language or Russian language? What are you doing regarding this? Because in these cities, part of population, they not support Russia, but they use Russian language. How do you treat this subject?
Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for this question, because Ukraine, as a large country, and the country has many national minorities, but the only national language is Ukrainian. And now the priority is Ukrainian, and the major curriculums is based on Ukrainian language. The law of Ukraine on application of Ukrainian language as the national implies that we have to introduce the full-time instruction in Ukrainian. We do not deny the face-to-face communication in Russian, but the state curriculum and all other trainings in the country should be carried out in Ukrainian. These days, we introduce English as the language of international communication, and it is supposed to be learned by most citizens of Ukraine, not to make Ukraine isolated from the world, and it will become the basis for the international communication of Ukrainians, including communicating the horrendous events Ukraine is facing now. Speaking about engaging our children in the international programs, which is also important. But Ukrainian is prioritized. But of course, the communication in the families and everyday basis, they of course can speak Russian. But even now, we can see Ukrainian become more and more popular. But well, I'm not against any language in the world, but when the language is associated with violence, shelling, looting, we should prioritize for our citizens the Ukrainian language. We should communicate that this language is in trend. It is recognized by entire world, and the one that identifies our country. Does the audience have any questions? Yes, please introduce yourself and ask it. I'm sorry, my question is going to be in Russian. We are all aware that foreign partners of Ukraine send much aid, military, economic, and other kind of aids. Is there anything the foreign partners can do to enhance educational system too? Thank you for this question. It's a very important question. Since the 24th of February 2022, the system of education of Ukraine suffered considerable losses, same as the entire country. And the educational system and educators were the first who responded to the needs of the country and established the humanitarian hubs and taking care of IDPs. They used school buses to transport the wounded and IDPs, and they helped with establishing volunteer centers and launching the educational processes. When I was speaking at the International Forum in London and speaking at UNESCO meetings, I emphasized that the main issue we have, these are digital devices, the school buses, the provision of textbooks, because when you have no internet connection, the hard copy of a textbook is the main source of training. For us, it is essential to form the support of the children by guidelines and supplementary materials, the advanced training for our educators, so that we had access to world standards and world priorities. However, we do not stand away from the educational processes. We fulfill many things as a state. 3,173 school buses were ruined by Russian aggressors, and Ukraine has gained 500 buses now. We lost so many libraries of books, but we got the support from UNESCO and other organizations to print hard copies of the textbooks. We have many international organizations such as Microsoft, Apple, Google provide us with laptops to support the educational system, because this is about the future of Ukraine. Thank you very much. Thank you for your question and for the answers, Mr. Minister. I would like to ask you about the teachers who stayed in the occupied territories, because for the occupants, they were among the first targets, because they tried to engage them into teaching Russian, specifically in Kherson, that has long been under the occupation. What do you know about them? Were they getting salaries as Ukrainian teachers? Did they manage to be evacuated? Have many of them agreed to cooperate with an aggressor? Thank you for the question. As far as I understand, and as far as I'm aware of that, we only know that there are only 1.2% of the educators that agreed to work on the Russian curriculum and the occupiers curriculum. I'm so proud of our educators, because even when they are targeted with firearms, they kept working with the Ukrainian students and children following Ukrainian standards, Ukrainian curriculums. Last week, I visited Kharkiv, and we shaped a certain strategy to provide to refill the shortage of faculties, and there's pedagogical and other universities that should ensure the training at the advance of masters students in the territories that suffer from shortage. We really had issues with paying the salaries for educators in the occupied territories. Now we have about 5,000 educators from 4 regions that were not paid their salaries in full. But I would like to emphasize that the Ministry of Education sent to the amalgamated communities this money, and there are some objective reasons why these teachers didn't get their salaries. Some territories are not fully occupied, and the armed forces of Ukraine today only start deliberating some of these regions from Russian aggressors. So it is followed by some technological processes, like technological verification of the teachers, and then we focus on urgent resuming of educational processes and to make up for the underpayment of the salaries who were working for Ukraine. And we work within this context. I also have another brief question. I asked this question the Minister of Sport, but he forwarded us to you. So are there, is there a chance that the new types of sports like floorball and other issues will be equipped, because this has never been an issue before? Let's let's forward this issue to the local authorities, because they established these educational institutions. The Ministry of Education directs all the subventions to the local levels, and the equipment of every specific school is the responsibility of local authorities. Every director and or the head of the school and the head of the communities should have their priorities, because this is their competence. Thank you very much for your answers, for your time. Thank you very much. Thank you. Goodbye. Slava to Ukraine, to heroes' glory. It was the briefing of the Minister of Education and Science, Serhiy Shkarlet. At 2 p.m., we have the briefing of humanitarian organizations, both Ukrainian and international, and they're going to speak about the humanitarian organizations working in the south of Ukraine, Odessa, Mykolaiv, and Kherson regions. Yesterday, Odessa hosted the big conference with the participation of several dozens of volunteer organizations, and their representatives will give briefing in our media center. Stay with us.